Welcome back, everyone, to the Nrgy Speaks Life podcast. I'm Coach Nrgy, the self-mastery coach, speaker, mediator, mentor, and author. On this show, we work with everyone who wants to achieve self-mastery, and we will share strategies, tools, tips, and techniques that you can take action on today. My guest this week is Angie, and we will be discussing everything involving money communication. Angie, thank you so much for joining us this week. Please introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about who you are and your connection or your experience with the topics that we will discuss today.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for having me. My name is Angie Carlson, owner of Carlson Financial Coaching, and I help couples with their money communication, specifically putting words to those thoughts and feelings that you have about money that you're telling your spouse, oh, it's just a feeling. Well, that leaves you a little frustrated because that's all you can say, and it leaves your spouse very frustrated because they don't know what questions to ask and they can't help you. So we work together to resolve all that so that you experience less stress in your relationship and you start reaching those life or financial milestones faster than you can think with ease.
Awesome. All righty. So let's jump right into it. So when it comes to money communication, you got to break that down for us. Exactly what does that mean, a money communication?
Great question. So money communication is basically the words that we use to describe the money. So growing up, we all grew up in situations where we may not have understood as children, like that maybe things were impacted by money, but we definitely had a lot of our behaviors and our thoughts form at a young age. And a lot of this stuff, we don't even realize it. It's very subconscious. And so as you go through life and you have relationships, maybe some relationships were awesome, maybe some weren't, maybe you've been married and divorced, all of those things kind of go into your bank of money experiences. And so then when you're married, you've met your person, you know that they're it, and you're starting to talk about money, your partner might do something that's like off-putting to you, but you're not really sure why it's off-putting or maybe you know immediately why, but it's maybe tied to someone that they don't know, or maybe you haven't shared that experience with them. So that person doesn't know what they're doing and how that's impacting you. And so I really work with couples to start talking about those things because it's going to hold them back from their progress. So you can do like the best budgets in the world, have all these fantastic strategies. But when you have these emotions and thoughts coming up, that is going to derail all the work that you've done. So that's why I focus on the money communication really just being how do we put into words what we're experiencing in a way that our spouse or whoever we're talking to really understands our point of view.
Nice. So, what would be maybe the first step? I don't know if you use some sort of technique or you have like a set 1, 2, 3 type of thing. So, what would be the first suggestion or step that you would recommend?
Yeah, sure. And when I work with my couples, I use my agree and achieve method. And so the first thing we really do is just clarify those desires. And really, where do we want the relationship and vision to go? Why are we working so hard for what? Like, what are we trying to achieve? And so, really focusing on what's the purpose of doing all this work. And then that really just sparks the rest of my method in terms of what we need to discuss to get there, what priorities we need to have, how we plan the numbers, how we look at the unknown and really protecting all that work that we've done.
Awesome. And so once they have clarified their desires, they clarified the purpose, what would you then suggest for them to do next?
Next, I would suggest for them to discuss that because individually, we each have a picture of what we want our life to look like. And when we marry somebody, we may not realize that we do this, but we marry somebody in the hopes that they're going to help us bring that picture to life. Like we see them as part of the journey, we're inviting them into our life. But what happens is that person that you've married also has a vision in their head, and it's highly unlikely that you two have the exact same picture. So we need to sit down and discuss what are some of the challenges we're facing, and how do we want the money we have to go in 3 different places. One, cleaning up past decisions, helping us have a great quality of life in the present, and really preparing for our future.
I like it. Past, present, and future. Now, have you worked with clients, or let me not ask that. What happens when you're working with couples who are just on totally different ends of the spectrum when it comes to their discussions and their desires on when it comes to money?
First off, it's totally normal.
Thank you
And
for
so,
normalizing it.
yes, it's completely normal because when we're in relationships and we're building relationships, there's just things that we don't necessarily think about in the beginning, or we are evolving as people too. So what maybe wasn't important to us when we met our person over time is becoming incredibly important. And so that's part of the work that I do. But that's why I really go back and like want each one to be like, okay, where do you see the relationship going? And there's no right or wrong answers, just where do you see it going? What do we currently agree on with our finances? Because my method is agree and achieve. So I always look for where do we have agreement? Because if we build a plan based on what we agree on, the likelihood of sticking to it goes up because we know what we're working for. And the
Mhm.
agreement can be this money thing doesn't work. This agreement can be we hate talking to each other. Like, I am not picky on what the agreement is, as long as we have at least something we agree on.
Understood. Okay. And so you mentioned that you use the agree and achieve method.
Mhm.
So I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. So you've discussed agree. Did you also discuss the method of the achieving part?
Not yet.
Okay, let's go ahead
So,
and go into achieve.
yeah. Yeah. So after we focus on the agree part, which has the pillars of desire, discuss, and prioritize, achieving is when we really get into the numbers, which most people think as a financial coach, like, wait a second, you don't go to the numbers first? And I don't, because I've realized the decisions that impact the numbers aren't the number on the paper. It's really a lot of thought work behind that. So think about, let's say you go over your out to eat budget. Instead of being mad at going over that number, we really need to figure out what's happening that's causing you to go visit the restaurant so much. And so those are the things that we work on in the agree phase. So the agree phase, if I can say that. So when we get to achieve, that's when we really can start building the plan of the numbers. But you and I both know life is going to happen. Something's going to go awry. There's going to be an ER visit. That car is going to need a repair. So how do we look at this in a way that the vision for your relationship isn't the sacrifice to pay for those expenses?
Yes. Nice. So when you have a couple who one person is a spender, that's just their habit, that's been their behavior, and the other person is a total budgeter, saver, they are into looking at that bottom line and saying, no, that's okay, we can go without. How do you assist them with communicating to each other about getting on the same plan?
Yeah, so the first thing I always tell them is what they're feeling is not wrong. Like they both have very valid reasons for what they're feeling. And I kind of think of it like through the tale of two books, like one's Pinocchio and one's The Giving Tree. So very obvious just by the titles that they're very different ends of the spectrum. And so there are thought processes and behaviors behind the spending and the saving that are actually really beneficial to their shared plan. But we've dismissed them as being beneficial because it's not something that we would see as beneficial. And so it's really just working through like both of you love each other and you really are thinking these things for the betterment of your relationship. The spender is more of, typically, like I'm going to stereotype a little bit here, but typically the spender's just like, hey, we want to enjoy the moment. No one's promised tomorrow. We have an opportunity to spend each other and make a cool memory. Let's go do it. Versus the saver is very future focused of, I want to make sure we can eat in retirement. Once again, both things are very valid. It's just sometimes they don't play together well. And so that's where I work with is how do we come up with ways that we both see progress towards what we want? It just is going to look maybe different than what we've pictured. And it's going to keep you both united because you're still allowing the other one to have a sense of that individuality, but it's not derailing your long-term plan.
Yes. So do you tend to work with couples who are married, or do they come to you before getting married, or typically after marriage?
Typically, I work with couples after they're married. I'm not opposed to working with couples before. I actually think before would be just really beneficial because you want to make sure that you're marrying the right person, you're getting your life set up on the right path, and having all that clarified can really alleviate a lot of stress at your wedding day. But the majority of couples I work with are already married by the time they come to me, and they've been married for a period of time, and they just get to a point in their relationship where they're like, the things they'll typically say to me is like, it feels like nothing is working. We did so great until we hit this goal, and then things haven't moved since. Or they are like, we've accomplished so much more than we ever dreamed, and we're not even 40. Holy crap, what's next?
Mhm.
And so it's really all those ends of the spectrum that come to me, and they have all thrived.
Awesome. When you're working with your couples, is there a standard or typical time frame that they are working with you in order to achieve whatever the goal is that they come to you for?
Fantastic question. So I have my container set up for 6-month increments, and we always focus on 3 priorities. So the nice thing is you can come in and do a round. We focus on those 3 priorities. We get them knocked out, and then you can come back and do a second round with totally 3 different priorities if you want. And then we start knocking those out, because getting towards your vision is like a really big picture thing. And what we don't want to do is make the path so narrow that there's only 1 or 2 ways to get there, because that's when we're going to start noticing everything not working. Instead of seeing it like, we're here today, we know the vision, we know it's a done deal, that's where we're going. Now we just need to navigate the path to get there.
Right. Okay, 6-month increments. Okay, good deal. So when you're working with your couples, does it that do your sessions with them ever get a little emotional?
Oh,
Okay.
100%. Oh my gosh. Are you kidding? Of course. Like, I remember one that they came in, and, I was doing my work looking at the numbers, and it turned out the one spouse didn't share with the other the full picture. And obviously, the one with the full picture was very upset for 2 reasons. One, that her spouse didn't tell her, and two, that I knew before she did.
Mm,
And she very much should be upset. Like, if I was in her shoes, I would totally have been upset too. And so it was really the that was a hard session to do, but the nice part of it was is like, I can still empathize with her while being like, okay, this is here and it's happened. And it's not that he's a bad guy or anything. He just is like, well, I'm doing this to protect her. And it makes sense, because a lot of men who love their wives really want to protect them from harm and really want to come and be the provider. So there was a lot going on there that we had to go in and talk about, because those are the things that's like, we, you know, we felt like we were doing the right thing. It just didn't have the result that we wanted.
mm-hmm. Oof, my goodness. And I think I heard you say when they came in, do you do in-person works, excuse me, in-person sessions when you're working with your couples, or virtual, or both?
I do virtual. I always do a no cost call first. So, because I really want to make sure that you're going to come in and thrive working with me before there's any type of investment. Because if you're not the right fit to work with me, I will tell you and also let you know, like, what do you need to do to become the right fit, or is there someone else who's a better fit for you? And then really just wanting them to ensure, like, yep, we're going to do the work. This is what it's going to entail. And are you guys really ready to go to the level of depth that I'm going to take you to?
Yes, that is super important. I like how you call it a no cost call first. And for me, it makes me think of what I offer, which is a
Mhm,
consultation, and it's
mhm,
complimentary, and it allows both the potential client and myself to, one, meet and greet. Let's kind of meet and get to know each other.
mhm,
And then two, for them to see if I'm a good fit for them, and also for me to see if they are a good fit for me. For me, I'm looking at, okay, are they ready? Just like you said, like, are you ready and
mhm,
willing to do the work? And are you able to do the work? Where is your mindset right now? Are you at a place where you've already said enough is enough? I am ready
mhm,
to make changes, and I must do something. I must take some sort of step in my life now that I haven't done yet, because otherwise I'm going to keep getting the same thing, keep getting the same results over and over. So definitely having that no cost
mhm,
call is super important. And I definitely, for those who are listening, take advantage of it. It sounds like there is no obligation, take advantage of that and just see if
mhm,
you and your partner and working with Angie would be a
mhm.
great fit with each other.
Yeah, and I always set these calls up with the intention of you pick the topic. Like if there's, I'm always like, what would you walk away from this call with going, wow, this was a great use of my time? And
Absolutely.
so it's not like a set agenda with it, but I do want to know like what's an outcome that you're looking for. So at least we can get you, an initial step or two, let you walk away with some takeaway that you can go and implement. So no matter what you decide to do at that point, it's still worth it to have the conversation because that conversation may be the thing that totally unlocks a totally different future for you.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh my goodness. Amazing things can happen on those initial calls for sure.
Mhm.
So, how did you get started in being involved with financial coaching?
I've been in the finance sector pretty much my whole career. In college, I majored in mathematics and communication. Very proud of my 22-year-old self for hooking me up because I couldn't have picked two better majors for doing what I do. And I've been in the finance sector. I did back-end retirement processing for 9 years. I did a season of taxes, and good Lord, I will never do that again. That was horrible. And I spent a year working in financial aid, including 7 years as the director. And so I've taken this, I don't want to say random financial knowledge, but it's definitely a unique set of things, coupled with me marrying somebody who grew up in a household very different than me. And so we had a lot to work through on that. And really just packaging into like, wow, there's a lot of things that I can coach on. And plus, I had some pretty unique things in my upbringing, including my sister and I have the fifth generation farm. So the fact that there's been something passed for that many generations is also unusual. So it's given me a lot of very unique perspectives that I can really share and elaborate on that has been so beneficial to the couples I've worked with and just the communication that's, even required just to like that I've watched to be like, okay, how do you hang on to something for so long? How do we instill the value in our kids to make sure that things get to them and that they're the ones that continue passing it down? And so there's just been so many things like that in my life that I've gone back to decode. It's like, wow, this really is a really unique skill set that so many people can benefit from. And I don't set it up to where you have to follow my advice. Like as a coach, I'll coach my clients and say, if there's something you like, you want to do great. But if there's something that doesn't resonate with you, you don't have to do it. Like I'm not a coach to turn you into a clone of me. I am a coach because I want to guide you and your relationship to the best results for you. And you getting there does not require you to be a clone of me.
Yes, yes, yes. And I get a question a lot when people may ask, okay, well, what is a coach or what's a difference between a coach or a therapist? And when you were giving that explanation just now, it made me think of, that's typically the answer that I give when someone is asking me,
Mhm.
okay, well, what is a coach? What do you do? And it's literally, I'm guiding you towards whatever you set for yourself,
Mhm.
not to turn you into who I am, a replica or a duplicate of me. I'm here to help
Mhm.
you achieve what you desire. Yeah.
Yeah, and to add to that, the coach is really here to like not only show you what is possible, but to also help you see like that possibility can become a reality faster than what you think.
Yes, 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 it is possible. Yes.
Mhm.
So, in your field of financial coaching, um, is it licensed? Does it require a degree for someone who may be interested in getting into it?
Yeah, so it does not require a license, so I cannot do anything with real estate, taxes, um, insurance, therapy. Like I'm not licensed to do any of that, which is fantastic. I don't want to be licensed to do any of that. That's what my referral partners are for. In terms of getting into it, I did take a certification, though to my knowledge, the last time I checked, the certification isn't required, but it's incredibly helpful. You'll get into communities of other coaches, have things to bounce off of, because there's no way I could have built what I have alone. Like there's just so many options that you can go to and like, financial coaches, we all have different niches, we have different ways of doing things. Like one of the things that really allows me to be unusual is my husband and I did a budget for a decade and it didn't work because we had a budget, but it kept validating that we were rocking the paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. Well, no wonder we didn't want to do a budget. That's a sucky outcome. And so we really, so when we really tapped into this vision piece, and this is why I start with it, that was really the unlock for us to be like, oh, this is how we move forward. This is how we get out of today and really start going to that future. And then the more and more things that started happening to get us closer and closer to this future, that's really what started to shift the numbers. It wasn't necessarily the numbers themselves, it was the decisions that we made. And so that's why I've redone my program to go back and let's start with where we're going, because otherwise, if you're doing a budget, you keep getting the same result. There's only so many ways that math is going to work. And that gets very frustrating. So let's take that frustrating side out and just come at it from a different angle and see what happens.
Indeed, indeed. So what would be, if there are any, do you get questions or comments whenever you're working with couples that may be a big misunderstanding when people are looking to work with a financial coach? Like, are there any misconceptions that kind of stand out?
Oh my gosh, there are so many misconceptions. The first one is, I've used money my whole life. I should be able to do this on my own. And here's the thing about money. Money is really the only relationship in your life that you cannot end. And I'm going to say some things that are very blunt and they are not meant to be hurtful, but just go with me.
Yes.
You can divorce your spouse. You can put your kids up for adoption. You can disown your parents. Like any human relationship can be ended. You can't end your relationship with money. It's too intertwined. And that's why money is really the mirror for all this crap that has gone on in your life, because even though you may not have been spending money as a child, money was still impacting parts of your life. And so there's been all these parts of a relationship develop that maybe you didn't ask for, but you still have. And so that's just why that relationship and that talking is so important, because no matter what happens to your relationship, you're going to be dealing with money till you die.
Definitely, definitely one of those, that's one of those things that will connect and stick with you from A to Z for sure. Good deal. Oh, is there anything else that I should ask or in regards to this conversation, something that may be of super importance that I may not have asked yet? I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything out or missing out on anything.
Yeah, I just want to say to the people listening who feel like they have no hope with their money or that they feel like nothing's going to get better, that's a thought. And you can choose to believe that thought. But I mean, I had a client, it was one of my first clients, single mom, came to me, two properties near foreclosure, water near shut off, gas near shut off, budget thousands and thousands of dollars in the red. Like I took her on and I like cried because I was just like, I don't understand how this is going to work. And when we worked together, we kept the properties, nothing got cut off, and her net worth transformed $175,000 in 7 months. I call her my rock star because she is like just a huge source of inspiration to not only me, my clients, other coaches have sent out her testimonial because it's just so mind blowing that you can do that. And so no matter how far gone you think you are, you're not as far gone as you think. And I know that too. So I had another couple that I worked with. They came to me, they couldn't even make their car payment session one. They actually chose to pay me for the coaching session over the car. And when I asked them, they said, we knew if we made this choice one time, we would never have to make it again. And that's when I'm like, okay, we've got the vision and the mindset dialed in. And they ended up paying off over $35,000 of debt while moving, while welcoming the second child to their family in 120 days. Like, there's so much there when you get that vision dialed in that really shifts everything. But if you don't believe that the vision is possible, it makes so much sense that you're just like making the choices you're making, because it's insane to work for something that you think is impossible. Like that doesn't make any sense. So just know that if you're in that cycle, I totally get it. And it makes sense while you're there, but you also have the power to step into something else. And if you're wondering if you can really do that, that is a perfect thing to have that no cost conversation about.
Absolutely, absolutely. And how long is that no cost call?
It's usually between 30 and 45 minutes.
Okay, awesome. That's a nice amount of time for those who are listening. Take advantage of that. Well, thank you, Angie, so much for sharing that story. That story, I'm sure, maybe perked some ears of our listeners because it definitely did with me. So I think this is a great time for us to transition to our fun segment. Are you ready?
I am
Okay.
ready.
So, the fun segment is where I will ask you one, two, or three random questions that have nothing to
Mhm.
do with what we've talked about today. So, my first question is, what is your biggest pet peeve?
Oh my gosh. God, I live with all men, so there's a
Oh,
few of them that are on
you
my
should have a
list.
long list.
Well, I was born five generation all girl, and I have a husband and two sons. So the toilet seat being left up all the time just drives me nuts, especially when it's the middle of the night and I forget. So totally random and maybe TMI, but that's one of them.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Have they not learned yet? Come on, guys.
They say it's convenient because, it's the middle of the night. So I'm like, okay, I just gotta remember. But sometimes my brain is not functioning in the middle of the night.
Right.
Let's just say that.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. And I understand. Yes, I understand. Alrighty, so I'm going to give you another question. My next question is, what is your favorite item that you've purchased so far this year?
My favorite item is a cocktail outfit I bought for an event I went to. It is like strapless and hot pink. I put
Oh,
a black throw over it. I would never buy anything like it, but I was cocktail night. I went all out and I just never spend money like that. And so that is by far like the favorite thing I've bought recently. And I have a bridal event coming up on September 22nd. And I'm like, I think I should just get that out and wear it again because it's such a fun outfit. Like, and the bridal event's perfect. So like, why not?
yes, absolutely. That is awesome. All right, let's do one more. What is one word that you would use to describe yourself and why?
Persistence for sure. Because I have gone through a lot just with my life, with becoming a coach, some business challenges, and I have just kept going. I have looked at it and not been like, oh, I think it's this problem or that problem. I've always looked at it and saying, okay, what's the part of this that I'm responsible for, and what's the part that I can take responsibility for and fix? And so I really feel that that's a very important part of being persistent and also knowing like what I'm persisting for. What's the vision of my business? What's the impact and the legacy I want to have? And just knowing like, okay, with knowing that's my end result, what do I need to persist in? Because I can't persist in everything. I have to pick and choose.
Nice. I like it. Persistence. Yes, indeed.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much for engaging in our fun segment today.
Oh, absolutely.
We definitely learned some different things about you, so that's awesome. Alrighty, so we're going to transition back, and this is where you have an opportunity to share a final takeaway. Any last words of wisdom,
Mhm.
any final nuggets, whatever it is that you would like to give our listeners one last time.
Yeah, 7 years ago, the life that I'm living today wasn't even in the realm of possibility. I was coming home from my job crying an hour every night, hard to believe after listening to me on this podcast, and was just so miserable and so in my stuff that I just was like, I thought my life was always going to be this way. 5 years ago, I had a near death experience that really was the wake up call that I needed, as ironic as it is to say, that it took me nearly losing my life to really get it back and see, like, oh, I have all this potential and stuff ahead of me. So just really stepping into that to then going to our finances, getting our debt paid off, our emergency fund done, paying off our house, and being like, having just a totally different life today. Like my husband and I look at each other and we're just like, are we really living this life today? Is this what does this like this is like how good it is. And we're now having to redo our vision because we reached the vision that we had and we're like, holy crap, we're in our 40s. Like we gotta do this again. And then just like picturing how big it could go. It's just life's just so much more fun in this place. Was it some of the scariest work I've ever done? Absolutely. A lot of this scared the crap out of me. And now that I'm on the other side of so much of it, it's like, why didn't I do this sooner?
Definitely. Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Angie, for sharing your information, your knowledge, your wisdom with our listeners today. I want to give you the opportunity to promote yourself, promote anything that you may have coming up, whether it be a book, a class, a webinar, whatever it is, your website. Basically, let our followers know or let our listeners know where they can follow you and how we can support you.
Sure. So you can follow me online on Facebook and Instagram, and the handle is at Finance Coach AC. My website is carlsonfinancialcoaching.com, where you can set up that no-cost conversation or download my free ebook, Beyond the Budget. I have a free Facebook group called Agree and Achieve Money Accelerator. So there's hours of bingeable content, all free for you to start seeing some shifts on your financial goals. I have a international book collaboration coming out, hopefully by the end of the year. So details will be posted to that website once I know more, but I have group coaching that starts 3 times a year and also have one-on-one support that those are all priced based on our conversation. So if you're thinking you want that deep, intensive level of support to start creating some of the fantastic miracles and join my clients who have done that, would love to have the opportunity to have a no-cost conversation about that. And if you're on the fence, let's get you off the fence either way.
Yes, indeed. All of the information, well, her website and her social media will be in the description below. So, therefore, if you did not have anything to write that information down, make sure that you check the show notes and the description. Everyone, make sure you go follow and support Angie. Angie, again, thank you so much for being our guest this week. And to those who are listening, if you want to be a guest on the Nrgy Speaks Life podcast, feel free to reach out to me on my website, nrgyspeakslife.com, or you can leave a comment below and I will get back in touch with you. As always, make sure that you hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, share, and send this information to someone that you believe it could be very helpful. Also, remember that when you master your mind, when you master your emotions, and when you master your assignment, you can live your purpose and live on purpose. Until next time, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.